In a world of expensive everything, what can you hope to get for 12 bucks? Especially if you're looking for a classy, elegant gold tone watch. By elegant, I mean thin, like ultra thin, 8mm thin. You also need practical functionality. For accurate time telling, a Japanese quartz may do. And maybe a complication or two, just like the day and date functions we have here. Of course, we also need decent water resistance, say 50 meters. What about some bling, apart from that gold tone of course? Well, on the dial we get a checkered inset. 3 crystals for that luxury sparkle that you're craving. Maybe inflation is not everywhere after all, because with the war, 12 bucks does seem to take you a long way. I've actually left a link to the listing I got this watch from in the description below the video, so make sure to check it out if you want this sharp price. And now I do want to talk about this watch because, let's be fair, shortcuts had to be made. It's not all smooth sailing with this watch. Some of the things are really frustrating and annoying, and some are really cool. So let's talk about this watch in this review. In regards to the dimensions, we get a case length of 40mm. The width is 31.1mm and the height of just 8mm. The band width is 25mm. Considering it is an integrated bracelet, the bracelet width is basically the case width at the point of integration. The lug-to-lug length here though is 50mm. That is quite hefty considering the case length is just 40mm, but that is explained by the lug design, which we will discuss in a little bit. The weight was originally 90 grams, but after removing 4 links to fit my 6.5-inch wrist, it's now around 81 grams. The case and bracelet are stainless steel. Well, it looks that way. With regards to the bracelet, I've got no doubt whatsoever. But if we talk about the case, for 12 bucks I just would assume it's an alloy, but I can't see any contrast in the colors. I can't see any real difference in the texture nor the polishing shades between the bracelet and the case. So I will just make this assumption that potentially it is stainless steel. Unlikely, but it looks like it. The case is surprisingly thin, just 8mm. The stainless steel snap-on case back is hiding a Miyota quartz movement. Very plain back here, logo and specs engraved onto the silver case back. On the sides we get angled facets. As we transition from the bottom to the top of the case, the chamfers are smooth, there are no sharp edges on the case at all. You will notice the bottom of the case sits flat on top of your wrist, yet the top side is actually rounded and follows the natural curve of the wrist. On top we have a bezel-less design. The case walls have edged the mineral crystal on top of the dial. It's an open and crisp look. The angular and faceted case is minimalistic in nature. The push and crown on the right is unsigned. You will notice it's smaller than average, emphasizing a classic, almost vintage aesthetic. It gates fine threading, enabling easy day, date and time adjustments. The gold-tone stainless steel bracelet is seamlessly integrated into the watch. The protruding lugs and the end links create a wider or longer surface size of the watch, hence distancing from an integrated bracelet sport watch and approaching a vintage dress watch look. The bracelet is pleasing on the eye. The gold tone is flashy, yet the yellow tinge is saturated to the deeper shades. Additionally, the links have grooves on the bottom halves. This creates more light play due to the multiple angles created. But let's be fair, so even though there are these grooves on the bottom halves of the links, really that's sort of disguising the fact that these are just individual links, right? So usually, we can get the outer links, 2 outer links, and we get a center link. Well, here no, the whole link is one solid piece of stainless steel. And in order to create a bit of that light play, they decided to engrave the bottom bit, or basically made a slight indenture here. And yeah, I can see that. They're saving costs, but they're still trying to get the best of what they have. Makes sense. Forgivable, I guess, at this price point. To be fair though, that's where the positives end with this bracelet. The bracelet, I think on one side is a strong point to this watch, considering, well, it gets a clasp and it's stainless steel, but the finishing is quite cheap, it feels cheap, and it sounds a bit cheap. Yeah, there's quite a few weak points. Let me tell you about them. The bracelet links are held together by push pins, and they're not the easiest to remove from the bracelet, as my experience has shown. The tolerances seem decent, yet there is little fluidity to the bracelet. Of course, that is explained by the single links design, again. The clasp is vanilla as well, no safety latch, no micro adjustments, but it is signed. Well, does it really save the bracelet? I don't think so, but hey, good effort. So what do you think about the WOOR WR8837 so far? I want to hear your thoughts, so please send them to me in the comments below the video. Because really, 12 bucks is not a lot of money, but how much do we really expect to get at that price point? Let me know. In regards to the crystal, there is nothing special here, but I guess that is sort of expected. So we just get mineral glass. There's no anti-reflective coating of any kind here. The only interesting thing is that you do get the curvature of the glass in line with the case. In regards to the dial, there are a few options for the dial colors: black, blue and white. Now I personally chose the gold dial color for a couple of reasons. So if we think about the black and the blue, that's quite dark, and considering that we have these crystals placed at the 6, 9 and 12 o'clock positions, I think they would look a bit too blingy, probably even extravagant on a blue or black dial. In regards to the white though, I think some of the splendor of this dial, which is actually quite good for the money of course, I think that splendor would have been lost on a white dial. So we are where we are with the gold one. There is a checkered texture in the central part of the dial, surrounded by smooth and plain textured beige tone. The indices are applied, sharpened chrome buttons. There is no minute chaptering, potentially a wise move to declutter the rectangular dial. At the 3 o'clock position, we have the day and date complication. The day of the week can be set in Japanese or English. The Dauphine minute and hour hands are rather common, but they suit this watch perfectly, due to their elegance and simplicity. The sharp-edged triangular and faceted surfaces of the hands add to the multidimensional case styling. I think now is a good time to summarize our thoughts about the WOOR Gold Tone Square Quartz watch. Well, if we talk about the cost or the price, 12 bucks is not a lot of money, but as you've seen from the B-roll footage, the watch actually looks quite decent. Now, if we go about the details and we start touching the bracelet and feeling it, yeah, it feels a bit cheap. But the dial actually looks almost superb, and you wouldn't think that that dial is on a $12 watch. I love the detailing. I love the fact that the brand name under the 12 o'clock position is in dark, slightly contrasty text. Now I think potentially it would have been nicer if it was in the gold text as well and it didn't stick out as much. And the quartz word just above the 6 o'clock position, also potentially not the best placement. So you can see it there in front of you. Well, I think it could have been done slightly better. But nonetheless, it's still pretty darn good. You do get the open dial. I think that the 3 crystals at the 6, 9 and 12 o'clock, they're not overly bright, they're not overly big, but they do add just that little bit of sparkle. So it's not too much, it's not like super bling, it's almost classy. Yeah, overall I am quite pleased with this watch, and I don't think that it was money wasted at all. Rather an interesting watch. I'm not sure if it's a keeper, but it is an interesting piece. There we go, that's the summary. So 12 bucks does get you, well, sort of a long way. Not too close, not too far, you know, somewhere in the middle. But anyways, I just didn't expect that it would cost me 12 bucks and I would get so much for so little. Anyways, I will be leaving a link to the listing I got this watch from in the description below the video, so make sure to check it out if you are after a sharp price. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy this review, please drop me a like. If you want to see more of the same, you know what to do. Please hit the red subscribe button below the video, and I'll see you in the next one.